Hey everyone, we got Oilers Avalanche conference finals coming up. And I had to bring Jeff back on for a little preview. So we previewed the Kings Oilers, we previewed the Flames Oilers together, and now we're on to the conference finals. Oilers, Avs. Jeff, man, how you feeling? Like, I know we've already talked off camera, but unbelievable, eh? I mean, I saw a scenario where the Oilers won the series, but Oilers in 5, and now into the conference finals. Like, how are you feeling?
I just want to say, good to be back, and everyone in the comments of the last video. I don't think I saw too many Oilers recommendations, but for those of you stuck with it, I knew we had it in us. So I guess it's about time to shock everyone again with this next series. Am I right here or what, John?
Well, yeah, man. Thank you for coming on again. And I think 100%. I mean, I think most people, I said this, for the most part, it was like Oilers in 6, Oilers in 7, Flames in 6, Flames in 7. I just didn't see a scenario where that series was over in 5. And I was saying that more on the side of people saying Flames in 5. Like, I don't think anyone in their right mind had Oilers in 5, anything less than 6. So when you look at that previous series, I mean, everyone was saying Flames if it was going to be a shorter series. No one had Oilers in a series shorter than 6. So Oilers in 5 is what we saw. And again, I understand how much credit. Like, I'm wearing the Avs jersey right now, and the Avs deserve so much credit. They deserve, if anything, to be the favorite in the series because of the season they had, because of the overall team they have. But it's shocking to me, Jeff, that there's actually so many people that I'm already seeing say Avs in 5. Like, we didn't just see the Avs almost choke the series against the Blues. Like, they had to score in the last few seconds in game 6, or that was going to overtime in St. Louis, and who knows what happened, right?
I know.
You look at the Oilers, who just beat the Flames, who won the Pacific Division, in 5. So how does it feel that you're still seeing people say Avs in 5? Do you see a scenario where the Avs do dominate this series? And how are you feeling in comparison to the Flames series, I guess, overall?
Well, I'd say I was getting texts from people before that game against the Flames was even over that we were going to get dummied by the Avs. So how does it feel? Not great, considering I wasn't even allowed to celebrate the last series before I had people text me, Avs are going to sweep you, how much you want to bet, stuff like that. But it comes with the territory. I mean, like you said, no one really expected what happened last series. Me and you certainly didn't. I thought the Flames would put up more of an effort. That first period of the first game was probably the best period they played the whole series, which is obviously good, which is obviously a dream for any Oilers or any fan of any team to be able to say that in such a big series that you shut them down after one period and then you delivered for 4 straight games.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I don't know. It was definitely surprising. I mean, me and you kind of texted. I was fired up when you uploaded your thoughts video, and I kind of texted you and said I thought you should have maybe gone a little harder on the Flames based on what we saw the Oilers be able to do. I mean, obviously, the series was amazing without, and the Oilers did not play a perfect series, obviously, with the Smith goal. The 9-6 game. Anytime you lose 9-6, you can't say it was a perfect series. So anyway, there's things along the way, but John, I'm just happy. I'm just happy we got the victory. I had faith, man. I was kind of surprised how many people really counted them out so early against the Flames. Obviously, the Flames were a little more established, but they only had 2 more points, I think, in the regular season. They had a lot of loser points. And here we are. It was a good week for me, and that's just what we'll say. And we can move
Yeah,
along, I guess.
and I'll go on both series. You're like, yeah, kind of bouncing off what you said. I think the Oilers, probably, you could look at it, they had definitely at least two of them were dominating victories. I think, like, in terms of the other 2 games, like, I think when you look at the Flames coming off like all those conversations of like trying to turn the series around, and then Jacob Markstrom makes that kind of mistake to Nugent Hopkins, like, right off the bat, like, that was just kind of like the Oilers became the better team in the series. But as you just kind of said, it was on both sides. Like, it wasn't like it was like the Oilers were facing the best version of the Flames. So I think that's where some people I can understand going into the series against the Avs. But the Oilers do need their credit. Like, it was a balance of the Oilers were playing their best hockey towards later in the series. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, I can understand where people are looking at it and going, the Flames were making a bunch of ridiculous mistakes. And Jacob Markstrom, as you said, I probably should have ripped into Jacob Markstrom more for that series, because at the end of the day, Mike Smith made his mistakes, still got away with it. And Markstrom ended up being the worst goalie in that series.
Smith had a couple big like flurries of saves. Like he didn't have any game where you were like, oh yes, like Smith stole us this game by any means. But there was moments where the Flames could have switched the tide of the series, and he maybe got across for a big save, like with his chest protector, or like he covered up a puck, or managed to like just get to a puck that's about to be slid in. Like I think he made the saves when he needed to make them, and Markstrom didn't, and that was kind of the difference. Neither goalie played amazing, but I mean, Kemper's not playing amazing. The only goalie I think is playing amazing these playoffs are probably Vasilevsky, like usual, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, Binnington played good when he was in until, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it definitely wasn't a goaltending series, and I can't imagine this upcoming one will be too much in that same vein. But I mean, you never know. Kemper's a good goalie. Kemper's another goalie the Oilers tried to go after last summer, and I would have been ecstatic if we had him in net. Didn't happen. But at this point, John, the easiest way I've been thinking about this for me to put it is like, it's like Mike Smith is such a wild card that he's actually could be good enough for us to win this series. Like, or he'll go down in engulfed in flames. You know what I mean? Like when you have a goalie,
I see what you're saying.
I'd rather have a goalie that's such a wild card like him compared to like a goalie where you're like really like Koskinen, and I'm like, I really don't know if he's in net, like what's going to happen. Smith has the ability to play very good, and then has the ability to play very bad. So it's like we're going in with the wild card, and that's it's gotten us 2 series wins, more than we can say in the last friggin' 15, 16 years. So
yeah, and you mentioned Binnington. I think that's the big thing for me is I think, yes, the Blues did end up stealing an extra game that I thought they would. Like I thought after Binnington went down, I was like, I thought Avs were getting it done in 5. I really did. But then Tyler Bozak, Leafs legend, put a mark in that. But I will say this. I think, as you just said, Mike Smith against Darcy Kemper, I really don't think we're going into the series again going, okay, this is going to be the goalie duo of the century. Or the goalie duo of the playoffs, or like any extreme takes about this kind of goaltending. But what I will say is this. Colorado showed, and Edmonton has shown it so far in the playoffs, but Colorado has shown that for the most part, they outshoot their opponents and they fire so many pucks on net. Like they put pressure on their goalies. Like a couple of the performances, even like specifically in game 1, where the Blues even lost and Binnington put up that save performance. So I think overall, when we see that Oilers depth step up against the Flames, like even more so, it's going to have to be a storyline in this matchup, because Colorado has gotten a lot of effort and gotten a lot of matchup game from their depth, along with the production. Like obviously not the production. I mean, when we talk about 26 points each for McDavid and Draisaitl, that hasn't come to play for the Avalanche per se, but McKinnon still has over a point per game. Rantanen still has over a point per game. Landeskog still has a point per game. Kadri, I think, has a point per game. So you still have your 4 top guys repping a point or over a point per game, along with the big time from the Avs depth. So I think as much as McDavid and Draisaitl have to keep showing the way they've been showing, the Oilers depth has to even match up even more so than they did against the Flames, because they did they did step up against the Flames for sure.
I don't think that the series will necessarily be decided through Draisaitl and McDavid's high point per games. Like you said, the Avs are not going to have what McDavid and Draisaitl have had and have been able to do. Like it's just not going to happen. So they can't think that they're going to outscore McDavid and Draisaitl. Is my point basically. My point is that the Avs, where they're going to be key, is they've got star power up front and on the back end with Cal McCarr, obviously. Mm-hmm. But the ace in the hole for the Avs, in my mind, is always Kadri, and he's had a good history of being able to cover McDavid. Maybe get under his skin a little bit when he was on the Leafs, when he was on the Avs. Like it's just kind of been a thing. And that was a different McDavid than what we're seeing right now. And that wasn't a playoff McDavid, and that wasn't a jacked up McDavid. Have you seen his home gym, by the way? I watched his host tour on YouTube the other day. He's got a nice home gym, man. I'm not surprised he's bulked up a little bit. But regardless, so I think he's going to kind of be the X factor there. But since those days of Kadri being able to shut down McDavid, as like I said, you watched it on the Leafs, We've added guys like Kane. Hyman's now playing on that top line. Kane's now with Nuge and Yamamoto on the second. Then you get McLeod, Puljujarvi on the third line, and then you kind of hodgepodge the other four. It's like you said, the depth's gonna have to step up. But my main point is I don't think the Avs are gonna win this series by trying to outscore McDavid and Draisaitl. It won't happen. How they're gonna win the series is, like you said, providing 4 lines of attack and being able to kind of hope that your guys can shut them down.
Well, and man, I'll just put it in plain terms. And I don't think you're going to deny this. Look at the Oilers deciding game in both series, like against the Kings and the Flames, or at least key games against both those teams.
They've played 3 elimination games so far.
Yeah, it was the big boys. Yes, as I said, a guy like Zach Hyman was unreal, and Evander Kane scored his big goals, but obviously a lot of it was driving from McDavid and Draisaitl. So as much as the depth for the Oilers did step up, it is still that center point where I look at the Avs. And again, I feel like I hope to see a couple of games with the Oilers where Zach Kassian scores a big game-winning goal. But look at the Avalanche. This is where I separate. If the Oilers want a chance in the series, they have to match up this way. And they have to get random guys, because we see it all the time in the playoffs. Look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, Ross Colton scoring the big goal. For the Caps, Lars Eller scoring the big goal. Look at the Avalanche in Game 6 against the Blues. JT Compher scores 2 goals in that game. JT Compher and Darren Helm scores the game winner.
I know.
Who had those guys on their bingo card scoring the big goals? No one. So what I'm saying is that's what you have to get from this Oilers. Like whether it's Yamamoto, Puljujarvi, some of these guys have to contribute big goals at big times. Yeah. And that's where you're going to have a huge chance against the Avalanche, because the Avs have had that those contributions from some of those guys.
I think we're basically saying the same thing. Like I'm saying the top lines are going to kind of like, you're not going to outscore. It's going to come down to if you can provide enough goals through the rest of the lineup, right?
Yeah.
And obviously Colorado has Cal McCarr on defense, who's basically like another stud forward for them as well. We have some promising guys like Bouchard, who's probably our most offensive defense, but he's not in the same stratosphere as McCarr. No. When it comes to like being an elite D in this league. He's good and he's going to be better, and he could be a top.
And then obviously the Avalanche, even past that, have Devon Taves and Bowen Byron to follow them up.
Exactly. And then Nurse hasn't had his best playoffs. He's been injured since the first game pretty much. He didn't play the end of the season. So I'm willing to give him a little slack on his offensive production. I'm not willing to give him slack on on him going down on one knee. Do you see that defensive play, man? He always does that. That's so frustrating to me. That's like my pet peeve about Nurse, and he makes up for it in other ways most of the time. But his defense, like you saw that Gaudreau goal in the last game where he wrapped around the net, and instead of Nurse getting that big stick out there and getting in his face, he's going down on one knee and
Josh Manson for the Avs made a big save on Kyrou.
I know
what you're saying.
You're gonna have your saves, but dude, I'm telling you, Nurse is doing this like as his main defensive strategy. Like I'd much prefer Duncan Keith, who's very good at this, or your boy Cody Ceci.
Ceci's been good. Ceci's been pretty solid.
Who's very good at pressuring. I think Ceci has the most defensive zone turnovers for the Oilers like this playoffs.
I can't believe what we're seeing from Ceci, man.
He goes at the pot,
It's not like he's been like an absolute defensive stud, but for like what you expected from Ceci back in the day and what the Leafs had hoped for Ceci, like Ceci's doing it now with the Oilers.
And like you said, he's not like a defensive stud, but if he's gonna put up numbers of getting takeaways in the defensive zone as a defenseman and not have to like rely on the forwards scooping down or anything, if he's willing to get those takeaways on him by himself, that's a key. Like to me, that's what probably one of the most important things.
He's made a lot of the simple plays, and he's made a lot of the simple plays easy. So, like that's I think for Ceci. Ceci was always a meme for me, but I think now we're finally seeing Ceci just play a simple game, not make things complicated, and he's become like. I'll just say it in simple terms. He's become not a liability anymore. He's playing a simple game and a simple defensive game that's been effective.
He has been referred to as a home run signing for the Oilers this year, just because of how much he's been able to replace Larson and be better than what Larson was when we were kind of signing Ceci at the end of free agency, being like, oh, what the did we just do? Yeah. And here he is. So that's but anyway.
Okay, so but how I'll put it, like just for everyone watching, and then we'll kind of just talk about how we see the series playing out, is forwards. I think the ceiling for the top players, Oilers, The depth right now, Avs take it, but we know the Oilers have the capability if certain guys step up. Defense, I would say the Avalanche are significantly more skilled on defense, but we know the Oilers have improved, we'll say, their defensive game. Goaltending, wild card. I think that's as simple as we put it. Kemper has been consistent at times, but still, he's had his struggles. Mike Smith, good at times, has had his struggles. I think wild card, and I honestly can't say this is a goaltending matchup the same way you said it. So, Jeff, just to kind of close out this video, how do you see us playing out? I know we didn't say Oilers in 5 in our previous preview. Do you see another Oilers in 5? I'm just trolling. How do you see this series playing out, or the possibilities of what this could, of what we could see essentially?
Oh man, I think
you don't have to necessarily give a solid.
Yes, you know me. I'm a big believer in the jinx, and especially when you're this far into a playoff run, you got to be careful what you say. But I'm just gonna say, going to this series, I have more confidence than I did going. I had confidence going into Calgary, but I think Calgary was kind of a prove it series for us, and we proved what we could do. So the way I'm looking at it, man, is 8 more wins is what this team needs. And that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. I think it'll go at least 6 or 7 games. I could see it being 3-3, or I could see a team trying to get that win in the 6th game. But I mean, anything below like 4 or 5 games, I'd have a hard time seeing.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think for the Oilers, to me, it's similar to the Flames series, man. Like, no, but honestly, what I'm
just laughing. You love my non-answers.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is similar to what I said against the Flames. And to me, you know what? Did I expect it to go shorter than 6 games? No. But what I said is exactly what happened. I said, if the Oilers were to win the series, they had to take a game in Calgary. They had to win one of the first 2 games in Calgary. Like, I don't even mean later in the series. Like, I mean one of the first 2. If Calgary went up 2-0 in that series, I think the Flames would have won the series 100%. I think that game 2 win in Calgary made the massive difference. More so because, think about this. If Edmonton won game 1 in Calgary, then it's like Calgary can even it up. And it's kind of like the momentum's kind of like whatever. Yes, you're going back to Edmonton. But the fact is, you bounced back after a 9-6 win for the Flames. You bounced back, stole the game in Calgary, and had those next 2 games going in Edmonton with the crowd bumping, the momentum bumping.
I was about to say, I was feeling very good after that split because like you just, I'm not even in Edmonton. I was there earlier this year, so I kind of know what it's like around the rink, and like I've been in the arena and gone to an Oilers game, so like kind of get the feel. And I was like, man, like with how much people love the Oilers in Edmonton, I was like, Calgary is going to be scared to be like McDavid and Draisaitl are going to be motivated. Calgary's going to be scared. I think the crowd and like that atmosphere, like people were, like Chris Cuthbert said it had only been matched by the 2010 Crosby game he did. He said that in an interview with Tim and Sid. So it's like, or Tim and Sid and Friends or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? I think that atmosphere is a big thing. And you make a good point, winning that 2nd game and having that momentum opposed to that first disaster game. I don't know. Like we're on the road again this time. So do you think there could be a split for the first 2 games? Well, that's
what I'm saying, right? I think if the Avs, man, I don't want to scare Oilers fans, but I think if the Avs won the first 2 games at home, especially how Colorado is like, that'd be so, I understand the Oilers and fans would be bumping, but it's like 2-0 for the Avs. That would be a tough hole to get out of. But I think, as I just said, if Edmonton could just get one of those games in Colorado, going back to Edmonton for game 3 and 4, I think the Oilers push this to at least, like, as I said, I think they could push it to 7 games, and then you take your chances in Colorado maybe. But yeah, if Edmonton can play their cards right, you split in Colorado, you take your own, like you control your own destiny at home, and then you potentially win at home in game 6. So I think for me, I think this series, again, we just saw Edmonton win in 5 against Calgary. Like it should go to 6 or 7. For me, I would go back to my original prediction, and then on my second chance of saying, we'll probably, again, I think Tampa, Colorado is what we should see on paper. But again, the Oilers have surprised us all. So if you're counting out Edmonton at this point, I mean, especially all the haters that were saying Kings in 6 against Edmonton, like let's relax a little bit at this point. We're seeing what McDavid and Draisaitl are doing on the big stage. Connor McDavid's arrived. Stop saying McDavid doesn't show up in the playoffs. It's a stupid take. If you're honestly underestimating the Oilers, specifically the big guns at this point, then you're half asleep, and you need to understand that, yes, Colorado is probably, I think you could be the most casual fan ever and say right now, Colorado's the better overall team. I don't think anyone's going to slander you for that take. But at the end of the day, it's hockey. It's an unpredictable sport. And I think when we see the Oilers so far and the big guns flying McDavid and Draisaitl, what they're doing, and Draisaitl's not even 100% healthy, like, do not underestimate the Oilers. I think if you are at this point, wake up.
I think I'm liking what you're saying, John. Did you see the video of McDavid when he scored that goal and he got back to the locker room, the OT winner, and he was going nuts?
Oh, bro, he was freaking jumping around.
This is emotions we've never seen from these two guys, man. I do not think they're going to take losing as an answer, man. They just won't. So we'll see.
We'll see, man. All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on, everyone. I'll drop a couple of Jeff's links in the description, and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like, look around for the streams. I'm sure I'll have Jeff on a couple more times, hopefully throughout the playoffs.
At least one more.
And Jeff, say what you usually say at the end of the video with that t-shirt.
Bring back the glory, baby. Is that what I say? I don't know.
That's what you said. There you go.
Let's go.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll chat soon. Peace.